ora tamariki mā, and welcome back to The Word. Today's story is about how God used a widow to bless someone else. A widow is someone whose husband or wife has died. We don't know her name, but I'm going to call her Faith. Well, Faith lived in the little village of Zarephath with her son. Let's call him Ben. Since Faith's husband had died, life had been really difficult for them both. They really missed him, but that wasn't the only difficult thing. Back in Bible times, women didn't work for money. They worked at home looking after the house and the children. This was a problem for Faith because it meant that she and Ben had no one to provide for them. They had no money. Usually, Faith would have had veggies growing in the garden and they could eat those. But the land was dry because their country was in the middle of a famine. That means it hadn't rained for ages, which meant the land was super dry, so none of their veggies were growing. Every day, Faith watched as the only food they had left, jars of flour and oil, got emptier and emptier. What was she going to do? She wanted to provide for Ben, but she had no way to do that. Finally, the day came when Faith knew that the oil and flour would run out. This was going to be their last meal. As she wandered around looking for sticks to make a fire to cook their last meal, Faith ran into a stranger who asked her for a drink of water. Well, that's something I can do, thought Faith. So off she went to get him a drink. As she was leaving, the man, Elijah, asked for something else. This request stopped Faith in her tracks. "Can you bring me some bread to eat as well, please? I'm hungry." Faith turned and spoke to Elijah with tears in her eyes. "I would if I could, but I don't have any bread in the house. I was just out gathering wood so I could use the last of the flour and oil to make one final kai for me and my son Ben." Elijah spoke again and told her, "Don't be afraid. I want you to do exactly what you said you were going to do. Build a fire, bake the bread, but give me the first portion, and then you and Ben can eat what's left. God is saying that there will always be oil and flour left in your jars. They won't ever run out until God sends rain and your veggies start to grow again." Could this be happening? A little glimmer of hope started to burn in her heart as she chose to do what Elijah had asked her to do. Could it really be true? Was God really going to make a way to save her and Ben? As she emptied the jars and baked the bread and then shared it, she was absolutely stunned when she walked back into the house to find flour and oil in the jars. God had heard her cries and answered her prayers. Every time she baked and shared her food with Elijah, God continued to refill the jars. It was a miracle. Faith's small gift of sharing a glass of water and a piece of bread had led to God doing something so much bigger. As lifelong followers of Jesus, every day there are opportunities for us to do small acts of kindness that can make a big difference in our world if we do it with the right attitude and a big heart.